Hi, everybody. I am Joan Lok. Thank you for coming to my Zoom meeting today. And what we are going to do today is to have a gallery talk of the artwork that is inspired by the James Webb Space Telescope. And then at the end of the talk, we will actually enter the VR, the virtual reality gallery that the artist who created artwork inspired by the Webb Telescope has put together. And so you can actually walk around as if it is a real gallery. So the rundown for today's program would be for the first hour from now to around an hour, I will be talking about the artwork that I have created inspired by the telescope. And in order to make sure that, because I only have this camera, so what I did is I actually prepared a PowerPoint, and then with the PowerPoint, we can go back to some of the photos of the in progress. So you will see various pieces of work that is inspired by the Webb telescope. I have created, more artwork than I put in the VR gallery because we only have limited space for each artist. So I have 4 pieces of work in the VR gallery, and we are going to see actually all of the ones that is in the gallery plus some more. And after that, then around between 2:10-ish, we will wrap up the presentation, and I will talk a little bit about the logistics of entering the VR gallery. And at that time, what I will do is I will put the VR gallery link onto the chat. So what you will do is you will just go to the chat and then just click on the link that I have provided you, and you should be able to open another window and go there. And what I would like you to do is, once you are successful entering the gallery, I advise you to actually close this Zoom chat. And as a matter of fact, I'll probably close it maybe around 2:35, which just in case if some people are only going to the VR gallery, I want them to get the link, but then I really want to close this up and we'll go to the VR gallery. The VR gallery portion would not be recorded. Not because it cannot be, but then I have technical difficulty doing it. And besides, the space is not owned by me. So I want to make sure that, where we're permission and things like that is kind of difficult. So we are not going to record that portion. And I will talk a little bit more about the logistic then. So before I start, any questions and things like that? If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to a presentation that I have prepared for the artwork. And before we do, I want to show you, these are actually 2 of the artwork you will see in the gallery. And these are the actual artwork. And you will see how big it is. And this is an embroidery, fabric paint on fiber. And this is in a format of a hanging stroke. I'll talk a little bit more about that. And on this side is a full hanging stroke. And this thing is, hung is over 7 feet tall. And if you know what is a full size of rice paper without cutting, this is a full sheet of rice paper. So you can see the scale of this painting. So what we are going to do is we are going to go to the share screen. So I will show you the PowerPoint. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we are in the PowerPoint, and if you cannot see it, unmute yourself and tell me because I can't see your face. Everybody can see this, right? If you cannot see it, unmute yourself and tell me. Okay, so I presume everybody can see this. So this is the PowerPoint that I have prepared to talk about the artwork that is inspired by the James Webb Space Telescope. And I call it Looking Back to See the Future, and I'll explain a little bit about that. But then this is actually a online film produced by the World Science Festival, and behind this particular spokesman is actually my artwork projected on the screen. And the actual artwork is not that big, but then I think that some of you who are familiar with using Sumi, And you know that the background was actually created by Sumi, which is a specific technique of flowing Sumi ink on water. So let's get started on the presentation. Okay. First of all, I don't want to presume that everybody knows exactly what is the Webb telescope. The Webb telescope is actually called, the full name is James Webb Space Telescope. So what it is a space telescope. But when we think about a telescope, a lot of time you'll think about, like something with a long white tube. And this one is how the telescope look like. And when you really think about it, why does it look that way? It's because of a lot of special technology. For one thing, like there's a camera. I mean, like actually these are the mirrors, and these are actually 18 pieces of hexagon mirror. And why they look like that? Because these cannot fit into a rocket easily. So the scientists actually created something similar to origami. These were actually foldable. They fold inward, and then they can open up, and then they collect the lights. And then from there, the lights are reflected into, there's a mirror here. And from this mirror, it reflects back to here. And then, things get transmitted. Or at least, I'm not a scientist, but that's how it was explained to me. And I will show you, like, remember there are like these two big lines here, and there's one line. These are also foldable. So when the telescope is folded, these actually go up here, and this, you see this little thing here, this actually become like a V shape and folded here as well behind, and this is on top. And these are what we call the sun shield. They are also like origami, they are folded. And then there are 5 different pieces here. And what they do is we want to make sure that the sun ray is not heating this up too much. So because of that, there are 5 layers of sun shield, and they are extremely thin. But then they can reflect a lot of light away. So what we are going to have is, all the whole thing folded. And believe me or not, I actually have a sample of these materials from NASA. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But then, okay, this is a space telescope, and the space telescope is a national collaboration between NASA, European Space Agency, and also the Canadian Space Agency. So in a way, it's not only the Americans, but also, like the rest of the world. Can you mute yourself upon entry? Let me just.
Made from a pig's bladder filled with salt water that was inserted with a metal rod and left there for 2 hours. After which, Elliot reported the king had enjoyed a fair siege.
Okay, we're back. Thank you for muting. So what we are going to do now, let me just continue, right? So the space telescope has took years to build. And then, as we all know, on Christmas Day last year, it was launched. And if you remember where it was launched in, I think, in a space center near the equator. And when you think about why is it near the equator, it's because the way the world spins, it actually can propel the rocket faster onto space. So that's also one of the science. It's like a swing sort theory. So that's why it is launched not in Houston, not in like Florida, but actually in that particular space center, because it can actually go faster and higher and further away and save how many tons of fuel. And when it's launched, it's inside the rocket, but then it is, as I say, folded. So it takes a while for it to travel to where it should be. And then when it's actually there, then it unfolds itself. And then now it has fully deployed, meaning it has fully unfolded and is orbiting an area called L2. So I have to say that, if you are bored by this, this is the end of this, because that's all I can tell you about the space telescope. I'm not a scientist. I really don't want to make a fool of myself of explaining more of the science. So now we talk, why we are sketching the telescope. Back in 2016, a lady in the in Greenbelt, where the telescope is being assembled, had this idea of putting together an event so artists from all over with different medium can have a chance to be inspired by the telescope to create artwork. And I was very fortunate to be selected as one of the artists. And this is a photo that is taken on the day that we are sketching the telescope. And you can see that the telescope is quite big, and relative to the size of the telescope, this is how human look like, right? So each of the telescope, I think each mirror is around 21 feet. So, so this is 18 of the mirror together. And this particular space, we have a lot of artists, surrounding me all over. And then we'll be sketching the telescope. And this is actually my setup, my artist material. And this, some of you who practice Sumi would know, this is actually an accordion book. And that's why in a lot of the exhibition, no one have seen this one, because it's in an accordion book and I don't want to cut it out. So therefore, this work has not been seen publicly in the show yet. So this is actually photo taken from the telescope. And after that event, what we did is we have an exhibition in 2017 of the artwork that were created inspired by the James Webb Space Telescope in the Goddard Space Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. And these are actually photos taken at the reception. And you will see that, this is one of the floating screen that I created. This is the one that was behind me before we go to the PowerPoint. And this is the one that with the Sumi Nagachi. And this is me at the reception explaining some of the artwork that I've created, which we will do again in the VR gallery. And this is a group photo of the artists that created the artwork in the art show. And this is Maggie, who is the coordinator from NASA. And then this is Ashley, who is the artist who helped us create a VR gallery. Plus, these are all the artists that create the artwork, and this is me. All right. So now let's look at some of the artwork that is inspired by the James Webb Space Telescope. And of course, this is the one that is the floating screen. And, I just think, you might like to see this photo. This is actually at the reception of the exhibition. And the fun thing is, it's kind of hard to make a cake that look like the telescope. So what the caterer did is we made 18 little cupcakes and arrange them that look just like the telescope. I think it's really, really clever. So, I took a picture of it. I just find it's really, really clever. All right, so let's look at the artwork. So this is the artwork I call Venture to the Unknown. And what it is Sumi ink on golden rice paper mounted on wood. And the wood frame is presented as a 4-leaf folding Japanese screen. And if you are familiar with the Japanese screen that are golden, one of the function of these screens is that when you think about a Japanese castle, it actually doesn't have a lot of windows because the castle would be something that you want to protect from the adverse, from the hostile elements, including your enemy. So they really do not have a lot of windows. And because they don't have a lot of windows, it's quite dark inside. So what the people did is they would have candles, but how many candles can you burn to lighten up a room? So what they did is they have gold paper, and if you have a candle or a light source in front of it, the gold paper will actually reflect light. And this is 3 feet high and 6 feet across, and they are actually placed just like what I did now. They are not hung on the wall as if you see some of the collector of these, they will hang it on the wall as if it's a wall hanging. They are usually actually folded like this, so they can stand on its own. And then if you really think about how Japanese sit. They don't use chair, they actually sit on the tatami. So 3 feet would be around the height of, a good divider for space, but also, it will reflect the most light where it's most needed. So this is a golden folding Japanese screen. And I created it immediately after visiting and seeing the Webb telescope in person. So it was the end of 2016 through the beginning of 2017. And this was obviously exhibited at the NASA's Space Center. And let's look a little bit about the detail. If you practice Sumi, you will probably notice the technique that I use. I use something called the tarashikomi, which literally means dripping in. It's an Asian Japanese technique that you add a second layer of paint on top of the first one before it's dry. And what happened is then the second layer would flow on top of the water or liquid of the first layer. And all these clouds were created with this special technique. And the inspiration is that in this classic Japanese screen, a lot of time you'll see a dragon flying in and out. But then for me, instead of a dragon, I change it into a Webb telescope. And the technique that I use because of the golden screen, I actually use less is more, meaning that because of the functionality of this screen, instead of covering it with Sumi ink, you actually want to leave as much golden space, blank space to reflect light as possible. And that's why, if you take a look back, a lot of the areas actually leave untouched in order to create the most reflective space for the function of the screen. So that's the artwork that I created called Venture into the Unknown. Okay, the second artwork I created is actually made of fabric, and it's an embroidery with golden flat and fabric paint. And the size is around 3 feet across, and the length is 76 inches, so it's quite tall. And this has been exhibited in the show in NASA, and also it was shipped to Cedar Park in Texas and was exhibited in the Texas Museum of Science and Technology in 2018. And one of the reasons this was shipped instead of the one, the Japanese folding screen is this one folded is a lot easier to ship, all right? So let's take a closer look of the artwork itself. When I first created this, I actually intend this to be a gongbi painting, a meticulous painting on size rice paper. But after I finished the entire sketch and when I would start coloring it, I can imagine, all this line would be marvelous with it is surrounded with a gold flat. And because of that, I actually changed the whole design, transferred into fiber, and instead of like have it on rice paper, it's actually on a piece of silk. And if you take a closer look, I played with the classic motif of what we call clouds, water, waves, and fire. And those are classic motifs, but I interpreted in today's world. And the most interesting one is actually the sun. Remember, these are the sun shield that block the heat to hit the telescope. So the sun is here, the telescope is here, and the shields are here. And this is the sun because if you take a closer look, this is a round ball and have the element of fire surrounding it. So the interpretation is a fireball, so it's the sun. And the structure of the telescope is actually flying out as if it is a spaceship floating in space. And the next one I created is called the Great American Eclipse of 2017. If you remember, in 2017, around July of that year, actually this happened during daytime, we have the Great American Eclipse. The moon was blocking the sunlight, and like depending on where you are, it could be morning, it could be noon, it could be evening. Across the American continent, you will be able to see the entire eclipse from here to all the way here. So what I did is, inspired by that particular phenomenon, I created another Webb telescope artwork. And this one I consider a sequel to the original one. And the size is very similar, 76 inches in length and slightly narrower, 29 inches in width. And this one was exhibited also at NASA in 2018. And also because in this particular show, they have, after the one in 2017, a lot of artists from around the world mailed in their artwork to NASA, telling them that I was inspired by the telescope and I made this. So NASA think that is so cool. So they actually put all the newer artwork together and have a second exhibition. And this one, because it's a newer work, so it was also included in that show. And let's take a closer look at the design itself. If you compare it to the last one, you will know that this is a more dynamic design, but I kept the element of water and wave, and I put the eclipse on the top of the sky. And yet, if you are familiar with the woodblock print, you will know that this is actually inspired by a very famous antique woodblock print with Mount Fuji on the back and fishing boat transporting fish product, you know, from the port to the place of sale. And this is inspired by the big wave of that. So that is the another embroidery. So let's look at another one. This one is called Sumi Evolution. This one is an artwork that I have Sumi ink and watercolor and also metallic watercolor on rice paper, and the whole thing is mounted on silk. And you remember at the beginning how big this is. This is a full sheet of rice paper uncut. So the dimension is 27 inches across and 58 inches from top to bottom. And since it's mounted on a hanging straw, so the entire thing is 34 inches in width and 88 inches in height. And this was created in 2020 because I was invited to a very special exhibition that is to celebrate the 115th birthday of Master Jiao Shao'ang and the 60th anniversary of the Today Art Association. And I want to bring to your attention that this is the show that happened. And the interesting thing is when the invitation was, when we were planning the exhibition, it was in 2019, way before the pandemic. So when I received the invitation, I said yes, and then I started preparing it. And I was about to buy an international flight ticket to go to Hong Kong and hope to actually join the show, because 60 is actually a very important date as a birthday for Chinese culture. Because I'm sure that, you know, people are aware of the lunar calendar that have the zodiac, and we have 12 zodiac. And then we also have the 5 elements: the fire, the earth, the water, and wind, and wood, right? So we have the 5 elements and the 12 zodiac, and 5 times 12 is 60. So in a way, in the Chinese zodiac, every 60 years is a complete cycle. And because of that, you know, when a person reaches the 60th birthday, they usually have a gigantic birthday party. And when you know, certain entity reach the age of 60, you also have a very big party. So the Today Art Association, which is actually formed 60 years ago by the student of Jiao Shao'ang to celebrate the kind of like the innovation in Sumi art, formed the society. And then in 2020, they turned 60. And because of that, you know, way before that, they were planning their 60th anniversary. And on top of that, because, you know, Jiao Shao'ang is one of the most influential artists of the Ningnan School of Art. And that year was also his 115th birthday with he's still alive. So we are celebrating it. And this is the album of the exhibition. And there were only 50 artists invited to the show, and they were from all around the world. Many of them are master of their own, and I was very fortunate and lucky to be invited. And this is the album that we produced. And the funny thing is, this is not an instruction book. So usually when you see the album, there's no little words on it. But then in my book, I actually have a little paragraph here. And the reason is because when I have the artwork, I created specifically for the show. And I also want to combine the interesting fact about the telescope and also the 60th anniversary, 115th birthday of Zhao Xiaoang. So what I want is I want it to be something that talks about the history of Sumi art, Lingnan School of Art in the past, present, and future. So let me go back to the artwork. And you will see that this is the artwork. The telescope is in the middle. And this is outer space as the Hubble would have seen it, right? All these phenomenal colors. And then with the hexagon mirror, what I did is I used the golden mirror with different sizes. I have a lot of reflection of various artwork from here, and then they, some of them bigger, some of them smaller, and then they kind of ascend to the top, and they are like different ones flying in and out. But basically, if we take a closer look, you will see that there are different artwork. And I play with the artwork because if you look closer, they are very interesting and famous artwork from various individuals. Let me see. Okay, yeah. For example, like this is two heron. This is the original work. This is hydrangea. This is the original that inspired it. And these among here are artwork created by the founders of the Ningnan School of Art, their teachers, also the first, second, and third generation, meaning that the founders' students, including Master Zhao Xiaoang's student, including artists that we know, for example, Ao Honan and Henry Wu. And then third generations, for example, their students, such as me. These are, like artwork here. And one of the fun thing is that if you are a diehard Ningnan Art School fan, you probably would recognize many of this. So I actually challenge people if they can identify all of them. And this is an artwork that if you have my Chinese brush painting, flowers, art instruction book, this is the chapter on lotus. And this, if you take a closer look, this one is actually trying to mimic this artwork. And this is the National Cherry Blossom official poster that I have created for them. And this is actually here. And I just want to emphasize the difficulty of doing this. My artwork is hand painted. It is not digitally enhanced. So unlike some digital art that you can copy this file, make it into a hexagon, and then cut and paste and drop it here, I actually have to hand paint all of this. And I think it's kind of challenging because it also challenged me to try to mimic the master to the likeness, but yet, like they are in different scale and different level of difficulties. So this is the artwork. And that's why this artwork has a Chinese name as well, because it was exhibited in Hong Kong with the Chinese name. So this one is called Sumi Evolution. Okay. And this is the latest one that I have done. It's called the Webb Kimono. What I did is this one is on an actual vintage silk kimono, and the length is 60 inches long, 52 inches wide. And it was created at the end of last year because I want it to remember and celebrate the launch of the Webb telescope on Christmas Day. So this particular design, this is originally in existence on the kimono. These are various landscape. And then, you know, if you think about a kimono, a lot of people would know that when you wear it formally, actually, you know, you purposely flip a little bit of the edge so people can see the lining. And this will be the color that you will see is a little bit of purple, right? And so, by the way, this is actually in NASA's James Webb Space Telescope art page in this link. So you can see that there. And what I did is I actually try to harmonize the color of my creation with the original design. So this is the original design. This is actually in the James Webb Space Telescope logo around here. But then you see, you know, when you take a closer look, you would not even know that this is hand painted by me, not here, not the artist here, because I try to, you know, make sure that they actually they were done together in one shot, all right? And then this hexagon mirror go up. There are some in gold, some in gray, and some in the purple. That is the flip of the lining. And then you will repeat all this landscape art. And the idea is that the Asian language in the mirror symbolize that the Webb telescope will actually collect data from the past to inform the future. And this is, you know, this telescope when I was painting it. Right. So actually, you know, I think, you know, people who are into the Webb telescope, you know that it took a selfie. What the real purpose of this selfie is that, you know, it has a camera to take a photo of the 18 mirrors, so the engineers can align the mirror correctly with some adjustment is needed. And but because of that, it become kind of like a selfie for the telescope. So I think it's a really cool selfie. So I think Webb is an artist as well. Before I put this slide in, actually, this was the slide I intend to put it. And this is actually my selfie. And, you know that the mirror that I use for this selfie is actually the James Webb Space Telescope. I thought this is a cool enough selfie, but of course, I can't compete with this one. I will continue to create artwork inspired by the Space Telescope exciting development. And if I have new ones and if you are interested, I will be more than happy to share it in the future. So now let's look at the time. I'm actually early on explaining the telescope. So let me actually go into explaining what we're going to do in the space in the gallery, all right? In the gallery, there are actually two gallery. The one that we are going to is called the Earth Gallery. And this is a photo of the space, of the sky gallery. And this is the event that I talked a little bit about in the beginning. NASA and the artists who created this gallery are going to coordinate an event, an online event that will be next Thursday. But I'll talk a little bit more about that. What I want you to know is actually this, before I give you the link for the chat. This is how the gallery look like when you enter. And when you enter, you are either here or here. Okay, either in front of the center, here or here. Okay. If you are in front of this, because you say the red dot means you are here. And if you have this artwork in front of you, I am here, by the way, Joan Lok is here. So if you are here, turn left and then walk here. If you are dropped to here, then you turn right, turn left. Yeah, both turn left. Yeah, both turn left and come here. I will actually meet you and guide you to here, because then we can look at the artwork, which I already talked about. And if you don't want to follow me, you can circle around, because we will enter at around 2:20 and we will leave at around 3:30. And of course, you can leave earlier, But then at 3:30, we will probably ask the gallery will probably close. But then after seeing my artwork, you can just wander around and look at all these different artwork from various artists. And then also here, when you enter, the same thing with a Zoom call. If you do not want, like echo, what I suggest is to mute yourself upon entry. And if you need to say something, then you can unmute yourself or type it in the chat. But if you didn't catch my attention, then just unmute yourself and ask me. Another thing that this is a real as with this a real gallery. So with everybody is unmute and everybody is saying something, what would happen is similar to a real gallery. With I'm standing here and you are standing here, my voice will be so low that you may not be able to hear me, or I will be almost like a whisper. But if you are standing here or here, then you will hear me louder. As with, you are really physically further away or closer to me. All right. So, and to recognize me, this is the avatar that I will look like in the gallery. This is kind of like a computer generated one. So, it's close enough, black hair, glasses. So if you see someone that look like this, hopefully, it's me, unless we have someone that, also have black hair and glasses. But then, if you can't find me, on top of my avatar would actually say Joan Lok. So, look for me if you cannot find me. All right. And I thank everybody for joining me. We're actually a little bit early on this. And I also want to, remind people that, if you like, you can enroll in my workshop. I have workshop on landscape and floral and bird painting on a monthly basis. And I would really appreciate if you join my workshop and show me the support. And I also know that there are individuals who may not be interested in taking workshops, but if you would like to contribute to continue and encourage me for, to continue these efforts, I have created a special button called Give. So, if you don't want to enroll in any workshop, but, you would like to show your support, that would be something that you can do as well. So this is actually my last slide. So let's get back to our face-to-face. So let me just see if there's any question on the chat. Right. Okay. Oh, thank you, Linda. Like Linda says, beautiful work. So let's do a little bit Q&A, because I have said that we are going to enter and share the link at 2:20. And because of that, I don't want to share the link now, because if I share the link, people go in, then I have to make sure I give you assistant there. And then I have to come back to see with people who are actually joining just at 2:20. So we have a little bit of time here. And of course, if you want, you can leave and come back at 2:30. But let me see if there's any particular comments or things you want to talk about. And you can be on screen, or you can just unmute yourself. I will be more than happy to chit chat with you. Okay. And thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. Judy also said I have wonderful work. And on this artwork, the artwork with all the various artwork inspired by various master. For this presentation, I actually try to talk about each of them. And then what I find out is just to talk about that cost me 45 minutes. So I cut that out. I did not do that. But then if there's any interest to see, individually which artwork that I use and why do I pick that artwork, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. And I think it'll be very interesting, especially when you are seeing it in person and you want to say, oh, that's the cherry blossom artwork, or that's the lotus artwork that I saw in the art instruction book. I mean, I think that's kind of like a little hide and seek that people might like. Okay, I have a question from Wayne Keller, and he said about how much time did it take to make this web artwork. It depends. The the thinking is, the design is kind of, just like any other artwork, you have to play with it and then, like refine it and things like that. For example, the embroidery is actually with golden thread and things like that. So it took me a long time because I'm not really a very good quilter or a seamstress. So it did take me a very long time. And what I did is I was watching TV when I'm doing all this, watching the evening news for many, many nights on that. And for the Japanese screen, what I did is I actually took an antique Japanese folding screen that already exists, meaning that I don't have to build the wooden frame from scratch. And then I took off the original painting, and then I added the gold paper onto the golden screen, and then I painted it. And the painting took maybe around 2 weeks, but then the testing took a lot longer because if you have paint on gold paper, especially if you want to use the technique of dripping, is really a hit or miss. And because the gold paper that I have, I only have a limited supply of that. So I actually cannot afford to make a mistake. And because of that, I actually tested it multiple times. And you probably remember the placement of the telescope. What I did is I actually decided, should I be in the front, kind of more space for it to go out, or in the middle, or in the end with more space, kind of like things behind it. I mean, there are multiple placements that I want to play with. And so what I did is I actually, have various samples and work on that as well. The one that take me the longest is actually this one. Because once I have the concept of this artwork, then what I did is, let me see if I can find this. Just excuse me one moment. You will be surprised, but in order to do that, I have multiple sketches of the telescope to see what angle is the better one. And then remember this, I need fabric paint, and since I have it on silk, so I'm not going to use Sumi paint. So therefore, these are actually the sample of how the paint would look like, what the color would look like, and how the gradation, because I want light and dark, but how would the light and dark, effect on that, and also how the gold paint, because just like watercolor, when it's dry, it will be different. And then I'm not sure you can see it on the screen, but basically, in order for this to be stiff enough for the gold thread, I actually have to do some what we call interfacing. So I have test sample of the interfacing iron onto here, and then I have also like this a piece of felt. I want to see what kind of padding and phasing would be okay, and like this is actually sample stitches that I did with a certain phasing to see if I want to have a little bit of bumpy for the wave, like what would it look like and things like that. And on this one as well, but then more so on the first one, we have seal, right? But of course, I don't have seal for this artwork. So what I did is I actually, created it. And this one is the James Webb Space Telescope. This is one of the one that is in the first embroidery. I actually hand painted this James Webb Space Telescope on that. And about all this hexagon, as people who are into design would know that these, and also in the kimono, the placement is important. You cannot just randomly put hexagon on the top and bottom. You want the overall design to be okay. So this is what I did, I mean, it's just a scrap piece of paper. I cut out, hexagon shape of different sizes. And then what I did is I actually made multiple ones. And then especially the kimono. I lay the kimono on the floor, and then I have all these different sizes. And then I place them, like some further apart, some closer, just like this. I place them to see if it looks good. Because although you have an idea, it's more concentrated on the bottom, like scattered around on the top, but then would it look good here? Would it look good here? So I have all these different ones. And I cut out multiple ones in order to work on my design. And this is the James Webb Space Telescope official logo. And you can, buy one actually from their gift shop or online and put it on your jacket and things like that. But this is the design that I put in the kimono. But then you see that I altered the color. So this become gold, and this I kept it black, and I actually didn't use the word, and I put the landscape design in here. So those are things that I did. And let me see. And there are, this one. See, this is the one, these are the gold paper that I use for the Japanese screen. And you will see, I actually tested because I want to know, like if it's not ink only, if it is just, if it is different watercolor, how would it look like? So I actually tried it, this is gold paper, and then I tried different colors. I try, what with, I have metallic paint, metallic color, and pour metallic colors onto it, and how would it look? Would it compete with the gold? And things like that. So this is actually one of the ones that I kind of try to see, like would this work? And I have to say that after trying, I actually think the eventual one, which is only Sumi ink, worked better. And then because of the gold paper, and like when you put a seal, we have to apply pressure in order for the red ink to stick. That doesn't work for a gold to the screen, because the way the screen is with the wooden frame is actually hollow inside. So what I did is I actually have to hand paint my seal. So I was testing, how the hand paint would work. So this is actually a scrap piece, because I mean, this is gold paper, but this is actually the gold paper purposely made for windows and doors, and also for screens. So this is actually thicker. But because of that, I only have that roll. So I was really trying not to waste it. So this is one of the scrap. And this is my other scrap. And you see, black ink is the one that I think, actually worked the best. So I decided not to use color in the actual artwork. And this is also one of the designs, and I'm not sure you can see it, but then I actually have pencil mark of the 4 screen, and they are proportionate to the actual screen. And I also try, what with the gold of the mirror, but then silver on the screen. And I have to say it doesn't work. I mean, honestly, I don't like it that much, right? And I also decided, what with, we have that, and then for interest sake, put a little red sun. So I tried it, but of course, I don't think it works. I think what I did in the eventual one, although it's very simple, is a lot more. I mean, these are a lot more elaborate, but I actually like the one that I did eventually, which is less is more. Yeah. Did you put a backing on the silk? Yes, I actually ironed the facing, because in this one and also the other one, the entire gold mirror, in order to make sure that you can see the 18 mirror, I use a gold thread and line all the hexagon, right? In order to do that, I need to strengthen the silk. You cannot just avoid on the silk, and it's just hard. So what I did is, remember the sample that I, wherever it is, I actually cut out little piece of facing. I mean, I bought different facing of different thickness, and then some of them are like, yeah, I mean, nowadays you can just iron it in, it's already have glue on top. So I iron it in, and I let it, like cool down, and then I use the gold thread and see how hard or easy it is to do the embroidery. But then the entire thing has a very, very thin interfacing to strengthen it, because otherwise when I'm embroidering on that, as I say, I'm not a quilter and I'm not really an embroidery artist. I'm sure that there are a lot of other tricks that I can get by, but then this is what I came up with, right? Is everything except the mural on the silk done on paint? Yes. So in a way, it's a painting. It's a painting. All this like shading. Oh, by the way, I use silver paint on the waves. And then these are just regular blue and light blue and dark blue. But these are all metallic. I mean, not metallic. Fabric paint, because if you dilute acrylic, you can still have the same effect. But then when it dries, if it is too thick, it is very dull. But then if you use acrylic paint after it dries is very soft. This is acrylic paint and still very soft. By the way, this is the cloud in the first one, the motif. I want to see how this fine line would work, and the trick. These are actually done with a very thin black marker, because I try to use the really fine Sumi brush to do this. The ink control doesn't work well. It bleeds very quickly. But then with a, like a black, extra fine black marker, it actually worked better. So these clouds were actually done by a black marker instead of a Sumi brush. Right? But these are, the thing. Actually, I think I have, here. It might be too big for the screen, but before you do that, of course, I have all these different sketches, but let me show you what we keep in our possession. Right. See, this is the actual sketch for the one that used for the Japanese folding screen, right? These are some of the designs that I did on various things on this embroidery design. This is one of them. This I actually didn't make it into a real thing yet, but these are some of the design that like maybe when I have time and get inspired, then I will make that. But these are all how they come about. So let me see, do I have any more questions? We are closer to the 2 o'clock mark. So, okay, talking about the gallery. When you are inside, if you have not entered it, when upon entry, it will actually ask you to pick an avatar. I have asked you to, if you want, you can go to readyplayerme.com and create your own avatar, or you can pick one at entrance. So at entrance, it will ask you to, have an avatar. And then I think they have various design, like a little robot, a little spaceman, a fox. I mean, like there are some really cute ones. Pick whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But I would probably suggest, like give it a name similar to yours. For example, if you are Kathy W, then you can just say Kathy W, or like Debbie Owl or something like that. So because what happened is, although there are multiple ones to choose from, maybe everybody loves to be a fox. So when we go in, I mean, we have 5 different foxes. or, you know, 3 different spacemen and things like that. So, you know, like I may not be able to recognize you. But then, you know, at least, you know, like I can see that the fog on the top that say Judy is Judy, you know, because, you know, like I don't know, you know, whether you become a fox or an astronaut, right? So upon that, and then on the keys, if you have your mouse can move, you know, like just, I mean, I think just like the computer, left button, right button, right? So you can move, you move your avatar just by, you know, like by, you know, just like when you're moving the mouse, you know, moving the cursor in on the screen. If you do not have it, or if you don't feel comfortable with the mouse, whatever laptop you have, look at your keyboard. And in the keyboard, if you have the arrow key, usually there's an up, down, left, right arrow. That will be exactly like how you navigate in the space. So you can, up is to move forward, back is to move back, go to the left or go to the right. Okay, just use the arrow, right? And if you want to, you know, not just go to the right, but actually turn right, you can use the buttons. And if you look at the alphabets, you know, the keyboard, the alphabet, the first 2 rows with the alphabets, it will say Q, W, E, and the next row is A, S, D. Okay, you don't have to remember, but then you look at those 6 buttons. The one in the middle that say W is going forward. The one with the S is go backward. And then next to backward, A is to go left, D is to go right, okay? And then the one on top, Q and E, Q is to turn left, E is to turn right, okay? So if you are unable to move, or if you have to turn, you know, just push the button. It's kind of like if you turn one, and you turn another, and you turn another. And then another thing is, if you just use the W button or the arrow button to move, you are basically like walking. So you are walk, right? But if you say, for example, you know, like I want everybody to gather in the left corner, but then you are really far away in the back and you want to like rush in, you can use the arrow key and then use the mouse. It will be like running, and then you will go there. And I think with your whole, I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong, right? If you hold the left key on your mouse, you will see a little green dot in front of you. If you release it, it will jump to that spot. So it will be a lot faster than walking. You will kind of like teleport, boom, and then you'll go there. I have to say that I'm not familiar with all this neither. So hopefully I didn't misguide you. But then play around with it. And then I also want to let everybody know that we are the first member of public that enter the galleries, because you know, like as I say, NASA and the artists that created the gallery, Ashley, they are coordinating various events to let the member of the public to enjoy the artwork inspired by the Webb telescope. And various time we have various things planned, and of, you know, logistic and things like that, you know, it got delayed and, you know, stuff like that. So one way or the other, I planned this on the 19th, and before I know it, we actually, you know, did it before them. So we are the first member of the public that saw the gallery. I mean, I've seen it because I'm the artist, so in a way I'm the insider, so I don't count. But then you guys are not part of the project, but yet you are kind of like one of the first member of the public that see that. And as I promised earlier, NASA and also the creator of the gallery, Ashley, and you know, like the artists and, you know, like a lot of us together, we are going to have an event that we invited the NASA scientists to talk about the project inside the gallery, and it will be next Thursday on the 24th. And I believe that they are they will be distributing tickets soon, but then there are limited number of tickets. So, you know, like I will send you information when I wrap up this video and send you the link to this video. I'll send you information on that. But then I have to say that because of limited tickets, you may not be able to get them. If you are unable to get them, they are going to live stream the event on YouTube. And I already have the link, and I will share the link also when I send you the information. So you can watch that, and that will be inside the gallery. And what we're going to do is, you know, we have another 15 minutes. Do I have any more questions? Okay. Yeah. It's a fun thing. And then I also suggest when you enter the gallery, of course, you know, come to my artwork. You know, one very interesting thing is that because it's with digital, so they can make it bigger or smaller than the actual work. And because of that, you know, like the artwork kind of look the same size, but as you can see, they are actually either bigger or smaller than what you see in the gallery. So that's why I told you exactly what the size of my artwork is. And I also encourage you, besides looking at my artwork, because I will gather there and let you see them and things like that first. And after that, I encourage you to actually wander around the gallery, move the mouse, move the up down arrow to look around. And then with you want, maybe imagine, would it be something fun that, you know, maybe we can have Sumi art in one of our next annual show? Or would it be a bit too dizzy and confusing? Things like that. And another thing is, I'm not sure whether it can be done, but then okay, I'll do it. And when we have a Zoom call, you know, a lot of times at the end of it, we'll go to the kind of like the wheel with everybody, and then we'll take a snapshot of that. And instead of that, I was thinking when we gather in the gallery, we'll gather in front of my artwork, and then we'll take a group photo. Of course, it will be of our avatar, but let's see how it will look like. I think it will be really cool to tell people that we're in the gallery and I'm that red robot. And because we are the first, so we'll do one of those group photos. And we will, by the way, I will share the link at 2:20 as promised. As a matter of fact, I would actually share at 2:15. And then the logistic is I will enter that gallery, but I will also stay in this gallery. I will mute one of them so it will not have an echo. When you enter the gallery, you know, like get your avatar, walk around and things like that. At around 2:30, I will, you know, actually close this one out, and I will be in the VR gallery, and I will ask you to gather, and you will walk together with me to, you know, where my artwork is. And then from there, I'll just do a little bit chit chat on that. And then I will let, you know, all of you, you know, just wander around while I will actually also wander around with you and see if any questions and things like that. And with you have something to do, you can leave. You know, you don't have to let me know. And but then at 3:30, I will, you know, invite everybody to leave, because my request is to have the gallery open until 3:30, because in a way it is a private showing. So any questions before we actually go into the gallery in around, you know, 6 minutes? Don't be shy. Okay. So I explain everything correctly? I will be teaching a landscape workshop on March 3rd, and I will be teaching a fall workshop on painting morning glory on March 5th. So if you are interested, do sign up. I love to see you. Judy have a message. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, I'm not going to repeat that, but she said that, you know, she you know, congratulating me for doing this. Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah. I enjoy doing that. Maybe you can see. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to close this recording, and you know, like
Oh, Joan,
yes.
this is Linda. I'm going to connect to my computer. So can
Okay.
you let me in? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close this recording, and just like last a lot of my Zoom chat, I will have this on YouTube, so people who missed this portion can see that. But then, as I say, the VR gallery would not be recorded. But let me just go back to my slide one more time. Okay, this is my avatar. So if you go in, you will see that, I mean, some avatar has a full body. I purposely have it only have the head so you can see the face more. So black hair, glasses, and kind of like a orange outfit, and that would be me. And on top, it would say Joan Lok. Okay, so that would be my avatar. Okay, and this is the map. I'm here. When you enter, whether you're on the top or the bottom, turn left, walk here or walk here. So turn left, and then I will be here. And besides the artwork, for example, with, I mean, this is not mine, but with this is the artwork, it will have a word that say Joan Lok. So you will see Joan Lok, Joan Lok, Joan Lok. This first one is actually the Japanese screen. This one is the Ningnan painting. And this one have the two embroidery side by side. So there are 4 pieces of artwork in 3 different walls. And these are mine. But of course, you know, you see that there are various artists. And we have watercolor. We have a manga artist. We also have pastel. We have embroidery. And I think there's a tattoo artist. But because it's tattoo, it's actually a photograph of the tattoo. So we have various artists represented in this gallery. And if you are able to get ticket to the show on the 24th, this is what we call the Earth Gallery. And then around here is a portal to go to the Sky Gallery, which is this one. And in the Sky Gallery, we'll have the talk by NASA scientists. But that's where it is. And remember to mute yourself, because what I understand is just like sometimes we have an echo in Zoom, and this would happen as well. And as a matter of fact, you know, that's why I'm asking for support, because I need to buy a earphone in order to avoid the kind of echo thing, but you know, I can't afford it yet. So anyway, this is my avatar. This is the gallery, and let's go back. Okay, I'm going to. Oh.
Joan, you gotta let me in, my computer.
Okay, let me just, I think I have more. Okay, we have 3 more people coming in actually. Okay, let me just close the recording, and then okay. I can, you know, like talk more about the thing. So thank you, Phil, for joining me, and I'll see each other in the VR gallery.